wonderful Wine Wednesday. You're listening to the Bureau Insider. I'm Anna Valencia Tillery. And before we had gone to commercial break, we had just introduced author Richard Rosen to the show. And he has given me a copy of his book, Life After Death, a step-by-step account of what comes next. And I know that my listeners are intrigued. Richard, what gave you the inspiration? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yes, I can. From a teenager, I would say I've been intrigued to know what happens beyond this life. I knew there had to be something more because in my youth, I would look around and I'd see people unhappy for one reason or the other, relationships. They have a lot of money, it didn't make a difference. And I knew there had to be more of a purpose. So I devoted my life to learning what that is and what happens after you die. And when you study something enough, there's always an answer. That's why people become specialists in whatever field they are.
Sure.
And to answer your question in particular, what made me write this book is I was waiting for my car to be serviced, and this woman, Paula, was there, and she talked about having buried 2 husbands, and just wondering what happens in the next life, considering she had 2 husbands here, and things like that. And I realized, came to me very clearly the thought, so many people want to know what are the issues of this life, how do they affect what happens next,
Sure.
or even if there is something next, it's not sure. So I thought this would be a great service since I knew the subject.
Ah. And so let's talk about some of that. Like, there seems to be questions on all of our minds, right? As to, do we all go to heaven? What would you say for that response?
I would say for the most part, yes. But it's an excellent question, Anna. I'll start on the bottom scale. There are some people that are so animalistic. They never do anything ethical. They just go by their baser instincts. Or people who are very, very intelligent, but I would term them as sociopaths. They have destroyed any ethics or conscience in their life. They've basically said to God, whether consciously or not, I don't want you in my life. I don't want anybody to tell me, live this way or live what's right or what's wrong. Well, they've had their opportunity in this life to make a decision whether they're amenable and open to divine guidance, and they said no. Then you have people that I would characterize as being light souls. They really have not thought about much. They've just lived and so forth, but they haven't made any rejection of God. And God always gives the benefit of the doubt, Anna.
Well, isn't that generous?
I want to point out, however, that there is a momentum that we create down here that follows us also into the next life. So if someone takes it easy and says, hey, I don't have to worry about doing the right thing that much, I'll do a little bit, but I'm going to do what's more convenient for me, and I'll fix it up in the next life. I'll get a second chance, no big deal. It is a big deal because that negative momentum of avoiding problems, procrastinating, is that much more difficult to deal with when we get there. And what does happen is people finally give up and they say, I don't love God enough, I just as soon not go on with my eternal career. They make that decision and they become as if they never had been. So be very careful in dealing with everything to the best you can down here. Otherwise, you're taking a chance.
And then very quickly go on. Then there are people who've done the best they can to live right. Whenever they make a decision that's right or wrong, they try to choose the right thing. May not always. We're all human.
Right.
And then you got the 4th class of people who've made a focus on finding out what God wants for their life, aligning to it, and doing it. Now, so these last 3 categories, they'll all get into heaven, into the first portion of heaven, I should say, because there are many levels to it. But then it's probationary.
Ah.
See, many people think there's a banana peel entry into heaven where you're miraculously changed. So if you're a miserable SOB,
Good
it doesn't
term.
make a difference. All of a sudden, boom, it doesn't happen. You get a new body. and you experience what it is. Oh, I died and here I am. That's it. You come with all the good and all the bad that you acquired in this life. Then you have basically, picture comes to me of the Wizard of Oz. When they get to Oz, they have to burnish up the Tin Man and put more straw in the Straw Man and send Dorothy to the beauty parlor. They have to get out all the stuff from that road fatigue and get them ready to see the wizard. And that's what goes on. There's a whole panoply of psychologists, sociologists, all angels that work with you to get you to become a whole person, which is essentially what we all try to do. We start this life and have different dysfunctions, and then we spend the rest of our life trying to get to be a unified human being. Well, they got it there in spades, but you don't have any of the negativity you have here.
So with that being said, when you say we get a new body, at no point based on your research and in this book are we reincarnated.
That's correct, and that's a very good point. So God gives each of us a distinct personality. That's why you have brothers and sisters, and it's like, wow, it's like night and day.
Sure,
Well,
I've seen that.
The personality is distinct because God took a fragment of himself, millions and billions of fragments, and at birth, each one of us is given one of those fragments for the rest of our eternal career. And so I put in my book, because I thought about this when I was writing about this, I said, as far as I'm concerned, it's taken me long enough to find out who I am. I certainly don't want to start over again.
Just because I get into the pearly gates doesn't mean I need to start from scratch. But it is nice to know that we're going to be spiffed up a bit before we go see the big band. That would be great. I'm sure of it. You know, I'm pretty sure about that. Well, this is certainly interesting. Now, we have a few minutes before we have to go to a commercial break, but you had touched on what gave you the inspiration for writing the book, and this lady had already buried 2 husbands, which I'm sure was very sad. Would it then be a fair thought to say a lot of people wonder if they're going to be reunited with their husband or wife in the afterlife? And what would be the answer?
Everything deals with affinity. There is no marriage in the next life because there's no procreation of children like down here.
Oh.
That's the purpose of, the sex organs aren't reproduced because there's no children, no procreation. You still remain male and female. That never goes away for all eternity.
That's good, because I don't know how I do as a male. I don't think I'd be very good at it.
And you don't have to think about it.
Good. Excellent.
I couldn't learn to walk in high heels. So
We'll teach you, Stuart. No, I'm kidding.
So, in the book, what I do is I take 4 characters and describe what their life was like here and how it affected their next life and what happened to them. And in it, there was husband and wife. So in the next life, they meet, because when you first get there, you get 10 days visiting time. You know, you look up the registry, you find out who, let me look up mom, dad. Even if you have children that predeceased you, you go find them in the nurseries there. So these 2, they wanted to see each other. And his wife says to him, our marriage wasn't all that good.
Oh.
We really were not compatible. And he says to her, you're right, Jean. It wasn't. And she said, I don't see us doing much in this life together. And he said, I agree, and I understand. And they parted their ways. And except there might be a work situation where the 2 of them are put together for their unique gifts and how to do things, they basically go their separate ways.
So there is an opportunity to be reunited, should it be this sort of relationship that was steeped in love here. If they want it in the next life, they could in fact have it, but they don't have to have it.
That's pretty well said, and I want to emphasize that people that really have that unity here, they'll continue having that unity there, because relationships are the prime focus of this life and the next. You always recognize people who you really know.
Wow.
And even friends, real good friends, they also will have an affinity that will last throughout eternity, and they do things together, just like a husband and wife here will also do things together.
Aww.
Get the best of both worlds.
I have goosebumps This is so exciting.
And what happens with that woman that had the 2 husbands? I asked because my mother buried 4.
Ooh.
Well, because there is no marriage in heaven, there's no question of, well, who do
She
you deal
sees
with?
one on Monday, one on Tuesday,
That
one on
could be.
Wednesday. Oh, that is too fun. Well, we are here in the studio. We have a lot going on this weekend, and obviously we have a soul searching to do at the same time. We can be as busy as we want in life, but it's important that at the end of the day, we get a firm grip of what it is that we want out of life and what comes in the next life. So we're here with author Richard Rosen, and he's giving us some details about his book, Life After Death. If you're listening to the Bureau Insider, I'm Anna Valencia Tillery. There's a whole lot more.
Good questions, Anna.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Give me a guide. I'm good at
Yeah,
using guides.
good one too. Stuart, jump in if you have anything
Sure.
inspired with. I enjoy so much talking about this, as you could tell.
I know
Yes.
it goes on. I lost my
May I
significant
freshen you
other in
up?
2009,
Excellent.
and we have had actual conversations since that time. When you're in that half-sleep zone,
Yes.
and it's not a dream, it's an actual conversation. You know, he comes back
It's
and he's
Anne,
told
right?
me he knows
Anne
about
Lee.
his grandchildren that have been born since then. And that one was in ICU. He watches over all of us all the time.
How
and,
is your perception of him talking to you? How do you hear it?
It's in that half sleep, and we were actually
I mean, do you hear,
having a
you
con-
hear
I
his
saw
voice?
him.
You hear his voice and you're
I
having a
saw
conversation.
him. We were having
And you
an
saw them
actual
too.
conversation. Yes.
There's a lot of permissions in this life for this particular world, because it's a unique among the billions and billions of planets because of all the evil that's here. This is a very unusual planet. All the worlds are normal. They just don't have the kind of terrible, atrocious evil that we have here, which is very good for us because it builds character for those who will. And I could talk more on that, but
Yeah.
in fact, the lag can talk.
Very interesting, though, how you came up with your
Yeah.
theories.
It's not a theory.
No?
God reveals truth on every single subject. It's out there. It's just a question of whether people have interest enough to really
okay.
pursue
so
it.
glad I didn't say that then. Wow, that's so interesting. You learn something new every day.
Each of us has a spirit of truth, a Geiger counter, I call it. So you can tell when something rings true. So, because there's no scientific proof, obviously, but your spirit resonates and says, yes.
That's so true. That's the same as people know. You know inherently if you told the truth or didn't.
Yes.
You can feel it. Your whole body is completely reacts different if you didn't,
Yes.
or if you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That's why they got them lie detectives.
Well, we're the human lie detectors.
But I mean, your
Yeah.
whole system, you know the negativity and whatever. Yeah, it's so cool.
And the positivity.
Exactly.
Are we ready?
We are ready.
Oh
I
my
have to press
goodness.
a couple
Okay.
more buttons and we're ready.
Now, we are here with author Richard Rosen featuring his book, Life After Death. We just heard Stuart talk so beautifully about his wife and his admiration of her talent and of her. This is very motivational to think that should or when we pass, that we get to possibly be reunited with our husband or wife in the afterlife. But what about our children, should our children pass before us? What are some of those things that we can expect, Richard?
Children that die before the age of decision making, and I mean by that, making their own decision whether or not they want to go on with God in their life for eternity. That's around the age of 16.
Okay.
Okay. When they die, they are in, I guess you could call it suspended animation until one of the parents die.
Oh.
Then as soon as that parent dies, that child is resurrected in the same physical age as when he or she died.
Really?
Yes. Then the parent, or parents if they're both there, will visit on the nursery. They have a particular planet for nurseries to raise these children in their beautiful families of loving angels and guardians. And if they want, they could apply to be involved in raising them for a certain time, co-raising them. their own parents, but they certainly can visit 4 times a year and give their input into how they're raised, their direction, and so forth. So they still remain parents.
Wow. And so the children will age once the parents come?
Yes.
Oh.
They age.
But the parents never age again.
Correct. Someone had asked me, well, what age are you?
Well, I like this. I want to go out at a good number. That's no, just kidding.
I want to choose.
Actually, the number you go out here is very encouraging for everyone who leaves with decrepit bodies. You end up, and this is not authoritative, but I would have to envision a 33-year-old body, because I look at that as the peak of your physical.
True.
And that remains forever. I mean, there's no decrepitude at all. The mind you get is so sharp and acute compared to down here. Plus, you get a couple of extra senses.
Ooh, like what? I need to know. What will my super senses be?
I don't know the particulars on what they are. I know that there are added senses, but the ones we have here will be intensified. Think of yourself as like Superman or Superwoman.
I
It's
already
like,
am.
Then you already
so
know.
excited when you said there's going to be additional senses. I'm thinking, laser eyes.
Things you see there, I mean, it's like an eagle can see afar off. Same thing. Hearing, so acute. The pin dropping 100 feet away. That equivalent. But what that reflects is that everything is manifest and clear. There's no hiding. It's like the angels know who you are. Here, you can hide, but not up there, which is for your good, because it's all love-saturated. So they know who you are. If you need a problem, like one of the characters in the book, Junior, he had a big problem with distrust during his life. He never overcame it. So he got there. He had a hard time working with his team. So his supervisors met and said, well, how are we going to deal with Junior? Came up with an idea. They talked to Junior about it. They said, we'd like to send you to the nurseries where they're raising the children, because they're all so trusting, and that'll help you learn trust. How do you feel about it, Junior? He said, sounds good to me. And he went, and it worked. He came back, he got rid of that problem.
Brilliant. Well, this is fascinating, and I think we're not even through yet. You are listening to the Vero Insider. I'm Amanda Valencia Tillery. We have a great show for.
One of the other purposes for writing this is because the experience we have after this life largely depends on how we live this life. What we do here will affect our entry, whether or not it's optimized, and how much we have to work out. And in one of my characters says, Sandy, in the book, she says, I wish I had worked more on this down here. It would have been easier than having to deal with it there.
Really?
Yes. And so I want to encourage people to look at their lives seriously from the point of view of what is your highest concept of what is true in any situation, what's the highest good for as many people involved in that situation. And if you look back on it, you could say, that was a beautiful thing I did. Those are the decisions that need to be made, even if it appears to be to your material detriment.
Oh.
And that's what creates a soul of nobility and worth. And it's the soul that survives, because we all know you can't take anything material with you.
So true.
And what you take is a soul, and that soul, with the personality that governs it, is what relates to people.
In the body of a 33-year-old in heaven. Just saying. All that knowledge and wisdom and that good soul and a good-looking body. That's a good gig. I'm liking what I'm hearing. Richard, if people are interested, because obviously we've touched on a lot of things about the book, but hardly even broke through the surface. If they are interested in getting this book, how might they go about purchasing Life After Death?
The easiest way, if somebody is familiar with Amazon or shops there, is just go on to Amazon, put in the book title, Life After Death, a step-by-step account of what comes next, and you'll see it there. Or you could order it at the bookstore.
The Vero Beach Book Center?
Any bookstore
Oh,
will
okay.
order it for you.
Oh, that's terrific. Pick up Life After Death and share it with a loved one. Share it with yourself. Do yourself a favor. Visit theveroinsider.com. Support our sponsors. And until next week, cheers.
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 Cheers.